Hey everybody, I'm Deborah Lindsay, and I want to talk to you today about tapping, about EFT. But first, I want to tell you a little bit about my own story. You know, um, at the time when EFT came into my life was not working. And when I say my life was not working, it wasn't working at all. I, had gone on, I'd played by the rules, I had a good education, and I had, job after job after job that I thought was going to take me somewhere, but never did. I would go into work every day, and I was in this sort of rabbit hole that I just kept trying to find ways out of. And I think of it now as the matrix. I was caught in the matrix, and I couldn't figure out a way out of it. You know, I was making just enough money to keep my bills paid, and I had no job satisfaction, no, all those things that I thought I was going to do when I was a child, that I had visualized my life as being, were nowhere in the picture. Instead I was a cog in a wheel, getting up and going to work and doing what I need to do and make some money and pay my bills and get up and do it again tomorrow and then hopefully have some fun on the weekend. And on top of that, I had started to develop, probably as a consequence of that, I had started to develop some pretty profound anxiety, you know. Um, and I didn't have any health insurance, so I couldn't go to a doctor or anything. But it had gotten so bad that at work, I had this big government-sized desk, and if something would go wrong, I wouldn't know how to handle it. And I would crawl into the little cubby hole under the desk where my legs were supposed to go as a way to sort of escape my life because I didn't know what else to do anymore. So I had this, a traumatic history, as do most of us, from teasing when I was a kid. And I had never seemed to be able to get past that. And all of my perspectives about my life were sort of run through that filter. So, in order to heal myself, I started looking for alternative healthcare options and started taking some trainings and so on. And then one day I learned about tapping. And this guy showed it to me. And at first I was like rolling my eyes. I didn't know much about acupuncture. I didn't know what he was doing. And I just thought this was ridiculous, except that my anxiety calmed down. And so he showed me a couple of tapping points, and this was way before YouTube or any of that sort of stuff. So I just had this little bit of information that I was working with, but I was tapping and I was getting better. So I decided to get the training. I bought Gary Craig's training at the time. I bought the whole kit and caboodle. I did all of it. And it's like 150 hours. It was a lot of training. But the problem with it was there was no oversight. There was nobody to call. There was nobody to ask questions to. And so I had no idea if I was doing this right at the time. And it was, even that was a little bit nerve-wracking. But so I started doing it with a couple of friends and then, family or whatever. And then eventually I started working with clients and I opened my own little office. And before long had this, full practice. And so the money was flowing. But more importantly, I had this sense of like freedom and purpose. And like I was finally on track with my life. I had a reason to wake up in the morning because when I was coming home at night, I felt like I had done something worthwhile. And I was seeing clients heal from, crazy stuff that like I would have never dreamed I would be able to help people with, you know. You know, the basic stuff, anxiety and depression and, but helping people with schizophrenia and bipolar disorder and sexual dysfunction or, sexual abuse or incest or chronic pain and autoimmune diseases and all that stuff, was showing up in my office and leaving with results. And that's life-changing stuff. It's not just a job anymore. It's like this thing inside of you that says, I am where I'm supposed to be, and I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, you know? And so I think about this one client that came to me one time, and I don't know why she stands out, but it was this woman who came to me who had been engaged to get married, and her whole life looked perfect. They had, a lot of money in the bank, or decent money in the bank, and they had their plans made, and they were getting married in a couple of weeks, and they were living together, and it was really everything that she wanted in her life. And then her fiance went off on this bicycle ride. He went on a motorcycle ride for cancer. He and his buddies were raising money to help heal cancer. And on that ride, he had an accident and died in a very traumatic way. And so she had to go and identify the body. Well, he had lost his head, literally had been beheaded in the accident. And so when she came out of this experience, not only had her life been turned upside down, but the trauma was so profound that she couldn't function in the world. So, she couldn't go to her work anymore. She couldn't move on. She was living with his parents. She was just dead in the water, with her own life. And it was like two people had died, And she was actually referred to me by another client who had also found her husband had died in a lawnmower accident, right? She had asked him to mow the lawn because there were friends coming over the next day, and so he mowed the lawn late at night. She gets home from work, goes to find him, and it wasn't nice, it was terrible. But she had already been a client of mine, so she came in right away. We started working. We got her through the trauma of it. We got her on with her life. So even though she had been through a terrible, terrible experience, the kind of experience that obviously can leave you, so stuck you can't move on, she was able to move on, and within a relatively short period of time had met someone new, had gone back to work, had reestablished her own life. But here was person number two, who, having had an almost identical experience, couldn't move on at all. So client number one refers client number two. Client number two comes in, and we work together for 1 hour. Now, after that hour, she didn't come back, So as a practitioner, that's, to me, like, oh, what happened? Did I do something wrong? Until I ran into her, not long thereafter. I ran into her on the street. Hey, how are you? And with one session, her whole life had turned around, She had moved out of his parents' house. She had gone and gotten a new job. She had moved on with her life after 1 hour of EFT, And so that kind of thing really made my life worthwhile. Not just the fact that I now owned my own life, that I was living my own purpose, that I had this tool that could heal my life, that if I come down with anxiety, I do some tapping. If something traumatic happens in my life, I have that tool for me. But I also have a purpose. And so after doing this, for a couple years, I started teaching live training. And then ultimately, I created this online course, which makes it possible for people all over the world to take this training, And, I don't want to brag, but my students love my training. And they come out of it really well trained, because here's the thing. If you decide that this is, a path that you're interested in, that you want to explore it for yourself, the class is online. So wherever you are, you can take it, and you can work at your own pace. So, if you want to do it quickly, you do it quickly. If you want to take your time, you take your time. But you're doing it from your own home. You don't have to travel to see me. You don't have to, hop on a plane or rent a car or go into a hotel room. You do it from home. And in the course of this class, you are going to be able to, through Skype, be able to meet with me directly, personally, for your final exam, and you get an hour with me. And you're also going to be working with other students live. So you're going to have experience as both the practitioner, so you're getting hands-on experience, and as the client. So you're going to have people working on you. So it's a sort of, like, self-healing and sessions with other practitioners at the same time that you are learning and honing a craft. So by the time you graduate from my course, you are both healthier and happier, and you are really well trained. You know? You know what you're doing. And I'm also going to give you tips throughout the course on how to set up and start your own little business. So by the time you're done, you have absolutely everything that you need to have in order to be successful in the world as a professional EFT practitioner, right? So, I should tell you, by the way, um, after I went online with the class, it gave me complete freedom, as you will have now with the invention of Skype, complete freedom to live your life from anywhere and be an EFT practitioner. You don't even have to get an office anymore, right? You can work from anywhere that you are if you've got internet in your computer to work with clients. So it gives you freedom. So I've actually been able to travel the world. A couple of years ago, I went to 12 different countries in the same year. And I eventually found that I'm happiest living in Panama. So as of right now, I'm living and working in the tropics. And that's, works for me. My students are all over the world. It makes no difference. So I love that about my life. I love that about EFT. And I love that about this class, So this is the kind of life that you can create too. EFT gives everyone this opportunity. It gives everybody the opportunity to, have your own life, to get out of the matrix, and to fulfill your own life's purpose. It gives you a chance to be creative. It gives you a chance to feel fulfilled at the end of every day. And there's a lot of money to be made. This is an industry where there are, it's on the cutting edge. It's growing. The awareness of this is growing. People are coming all the time, and there are now more clients than there are practitioners. So if this is something that sounds like it might be for you, come to my website at onlineeftcertification.com. It's onlineeftcertification.com. And, sign up, get started, You can also just call me, 304-295-4411. Just call me, My students are my highest priority, and I'm here for you all the time, But if you're someone who wants to get out of the matrix and you want to own your own life and you want to feel like your life's purpose is being fulfilled, EFT really is a way to make that happen. So I hope to see you in the class.